Hi everyone, how you doing? It's me, Mark, back with another video, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been leaving comments, suggestions on how I can improve the videos, liking the videos, subscribing to the videos. It means a lot because it means that more people eventually will get to see these videos and hear this information because you know it's not information that you get to hear often, really. It's not a topic that's talked about much, gambling addiction, and in particular how to recover from it. So I want to thank you all for all of your input. It really does mean a lot to me. Now, if you're out there now, if you're one of these gambling addicts who continuously keeps going back to gambling, and is scratching your head thinking, why does this happen? Why do I keep going back to gambling when I don't want to? Why do I keep going back to gambling when I know that I can't gamble? Why do I keep going back to gambling when I know that I shouldn't gamble? Well, this is what gambling addiction is in a nutshell. We go back to gambling regardless of the consequences, regardless of the necessity or the wish for us not to gamble. And this is a cycle and a pattern that keeps going on and on and on and on and doesn't stop and just gets worse and worse, and the consequences get worse and more severe. The suffering gets worse and more severe until we reach a point until it can get as bad. It can get if you think it can't get any worse, believe you me, I'm speaking from somebody who has been to places with gambling that I never thought possible. You know, when you think that it can't get any worse, gambling has this it has this ability to surprise us with consequences that just are just mind blowing. That the pain of gambling and the pain of these consequences surprise will continue to surprise because if you've reached the point where you are unable to remain gambling free, it's terrifying. It's terrifying knowing that you have no power over something, that you've got no power over doing something that for a long time you will have been at that point where you don't want to do it. It's a horrible place to be. And I for instance, I'm just reading something online here, where there's a gentleman, sadly, who keeps going back to gambling time and time again. He's a compulsive relapser, if you want to call it that. Just like I was, and just like many of you will be. He says, I'm back after beating this addiction over and over again. How can you beat an addiction over and over again? You can arrest the addiction so that you no longer go back to gambling, but you can't beat an addiction over and over again. Dropping my guard 9 weeks ago, and then 3 days ago. He goes on, I now live on my own and have done for the last year. So it sounds as if what he's saying is he's repeatedly going back to gambling. He's been living on his own for the last year, likely because his relationship has broke down due to gambling. And this is it. It's I mean, the whole thing is talking about, I never intended to go out and do it again. I look back and remember just how bad I was with addiction. For decades, gambling every time I had money in my pocket. Well, you've still got the addiction by the sounds of it, and the addiction is still active by the sounds of it. And it basically is just saying, I'm not going to mess up because I don't want it to repeat itself again, and that's up to me. My guard is up. And I feel for the guy. I'm not taking the mick here. I'm not. It's just crazy, the craziness of our thinking. I'm back after beating this addiction over and over again. If you beat your addiction, how can you beat your addiction if you're an addict? How? If you have no power over your addiction, if you are powerless over your addiction, how can you beat something that you have no power over? That you have no... with this, I dropped my guard 9 weeks ago and again 3 days ago. I'm not happy with myself. And he talks about repeatedly going back and back to it. That's not beating an addiction. That's a demonstration of being powerless to prevent to prevent yourself from putting the first bet on. Because if you didn't put the first bet on, you wouldn't put the second or the third or the fourth bet on. You wouldn't end off destroying relationships. You wouldn't end off destroying friendships and things like that. So our problem isn't our problem isn't losing all of our money at the end of a spree. Our problem is not being able to stop ourselves placing the first bet. If we can stop ourselves placing the first bet, if we can stop ourselves relapsing and placing the first bet, if something can stop us placing that first bet, then there won't be a problem. There won't be a problem, because the problem is we don't have the ability to stop that first bet going on. And he talks about putting guards in place and things. How many times have we put? I've just got to remain on guard, like a sentry in like a sentry in the military, watching on guard for the enemy coming. It's like, and that's what it is. That's what it is. It's like the gambling. That thought. Think of it as an enemy, because it is. It does not have your best interest at heart. And it's best to think of it as the enemy. But to remain on guard 24/7, 7 days a week, is exhausting, and you're not going to be able to do it. A sentry in the army isn't going to be able to remain on guard permanently. They have to have a break. They have to have a break, because their concentration levels can't stay up to that level. And likewise, as gambling addicts, we can't have that heightened level of concentration 24/7, 7 days a week for the rest of our life on guard against gambling. It isn't going to happen. That on guard, that guard that we have to protect ourselves against the enemy gambling will break down at some point. And this is why we have to have something. We have to have something that can take over to protect us, to protect that part of our mind when it breaks down, to protect us from that part of our mind when it breaks down, that brings about that compulsion to put the first bet on. Has this made sense to you? I don't know, but I hope it has, and I hope you've got something from it. I haven't been online for a few days. I've been really busy, but sometimes I think to myself, are these videos any good? But then I think, yes, they are, because you won't get this information. You're not going to get this information from many places. You know, it's this was the information I needed in order to recover. You know, and you know, this isn't about my issues or anything like that. It was never about my issues. It was about my lack of power over my addiction. So I'm just gonna do something quickly before I go. Nearly there. Nearly there. Well, I just want to. I just want to check. I'm trying to find a dictionary. Um, right, here we are. So addiction. I'm looking in the dictionary for a definition of addiction. A compulsive chronic psychological or physiological need for a habit forming substance, behavior, or activity having harmful physical, psychological, social effects and typically causing well defined symptoms such as anxiety, irritability, tremors, or nausea upon withdrawal or abstinence, the state of being addicted. Um, yeah, I'll just read that again. A compulsive, chronic, psychological, or physiological need for a habit forming substance, behavior, or activity having harmful physical, psychological, or social effects and typically causing well defined symptoms such as anxiety, irritability, tremors, or nausea upon withdrawal or abstinence, the state of being addicted. Um, I mean, I've never felt nausea or anything like that, but I mean, I've felt we're not gambling, but I've felt all that whilst gambling. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, uh, yeah. I'll leave it there.